a place like that?
At the pyramids.
Tell me about it.
There's one being constructed.
Mm-hmm.
It's white and it's shiny. It's being built and being put together.
Tell me about that.
I'm so excited. I'm so thrilled to see it going up.
Yeah.
Brick by brick.
How are they doing that?
With energy and men.
Mm-hmm.
They're using like a form of telepathy, and they move the objects. There's ascended masters that are here.
Mm-hmm.
They are visitors and they're helping us. I'm a woman.
Mm-hmm.
Looking down, the sand is hot, and my father will be upset I'm not wearing shoes. There is lots of people around. There's workers, and they're putting together a platform where a sphinx will go. They're putting a golden box inside that platform, and there will be scrolls put in that box.
Tell me more about that.
It's a creation story. The story of how this will be built will be written on those scrolls.
And you're getting to witness how they're being built?
Yes.
Tell me more about that and how they're using the telepathy and other means to build these things.
It's a form of energy they use with their minds.
Mm-hmm.
Not all of them can do that. There is mankind here helping. But there's also these celestial beings that are here. They help us. They are kind.
And how are they helping?
They can make the very heavy objects go up with perfect precision. This pyramid is also to do spiritual connection inside with the priests. They will go in there and they will channel. They will astral travel. And there is a portal inside.
Tell me more about that.
It's so these ascended masters and helpers can jump through, and they can remote view and communicate with the other portals. This is a very exciting time.
Tell me more about the ascended masters and celestial beings that are there. Are they in physical form where people can see them, or?
Yes.
Yeah. Tell me more about them. Is there different kinds?
There's ones that look like lions. Some are male and some are female. They are like warriors. They are gentle and they are wise.
Mm-hmm.
There's tall, bird-like ones that are there.
Mm-hmm.
They look like teachers. They are wearing robes.
The bird-like people?
Yeah. They look to be about 7 feet tall.
Mm-hmm. What color are they?
Some have a dark blue. Some are silvery blue.
Mm-hmm. And what about the lion-looking beings?
They have a golden color to them.
Mm-hmm.
Very tall, 7 feet.
Mm-hmm.
The females, they're about a little bit shorter, from 6'3" to about 7 feet.
And are there any other celestial or beings or ascended masters there that you can see that are assisting?
One of my teachers is there.
Tell me more about that.
He's Octorian.
Mm-hmm.
He's very old, very ancient. There's an alliance. They all work together. They say that these pyramids, that people nowadays in this timeline have a misunderstanding about them.
Mm. And what is that?
They think they were used as burial, but they were not. They were used to travel through portals.
Mm. Can you tell me more about how that actually happens?
Through channeling, like we are now,
Mm-hmm.
with the mind, with divine connection.
Mm-hmm. Like they would channel through their consciousness, not their physical body. Is that right?
Yes.
Mm. And you said the priests would go and do this?
Yes, and they would use it as a form of training to strengthen the spiritual mind, to raise consciousness in some of these people.
Tell me about that.
Teaching them about crystals. There's very tall crystals inside the pyramid, and there'll be more put in there.
Tell me more about that and why.
To raise the vibration and help in training, to help travel through portals.
How do the crystals assist with that?
They raise the energy and the vibration, and also for protection.
Protection from what?
These dark ones,
Tell me more about that.
they look very reptilian.
What color are they, or do they wear anything?
They're very dark green. They look like almost like a crocodile with a shorter jaw. Yellow eyes. My teacher that's present now calls them the fallen ones.
What does he mean by the fallen ones?
The ones that wish dark upon humanity.
And why is that?
It's all about control.
And you said you're a woman or a girl?
I'm a woman.
And what are you wearing, if anything?
I'm wearing a white light dress. I have gold bracelets on. The bracelet I'm wearing on my left arm, it's shaped like a snake.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I come from a higher family because I have servants in my home.
Mm-hmm. And what does the snake represent on your wrist?
Status.
Okay. And what do you do with most of your time?
I'm in school and I'm learning languages.
Okay. And what kind of languages are you learning?
Arabic.
Mm-hmm.
Roman. I'm learning to write on scrolls.
Mm-hmm.
And my father has me working with these beings. I'm to go inside this pyramid.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm to be trained to go through the portals.
Okay. Tell me more about that.
I've been chosen
Okay.
because of my status. And they say that I have the capability because I am also, my teacher says that I'm like a hybrid.
Mm-hmm. What does he mean? Hybrid of what?
I have some of their DNA.
The Arcturian?
Lyran in this one.
Okay.
My soul is Arcturian, but I can still incarnate with other DNA.
Right. And how does that happen?
By choice.
Mm-hmm. You choose it and it just happens?
My experience.
Mm-hmm.
And I get asked. In this life, I am of these people. I have black hair. I have very dark eyes. I feel like I'm about 16 and I have marriage on my mind. I have not met my husband yet. My father is there and he is writing up the contract.
The contract for what?
That I'm already married, and then we will do an in-person marriage when my husband arrives.
Okay, so it's like arranged?
Yes.
Okay. And how do you feel about that?
I'm excited.
Yeah. Tell me about it.
I met him before.
Yeah. What's he like?
He likes me.
Mm-hmm.
And he's gentle. We grew up together. I don't have to leave my home. He is coming to me to marry.
And what happens next?
I now see that I'm carrying a baby.
Mm-hmm.
And they will, because I'm carrying a baby, they said that I can't be in the pyramid to jump in portals.
And why is that?
I don't think it's good for a pregnant woman.
How so?
They're not answering that one. I feel it's because the soul is not in the body of the baby.
Mm. But before this, you were doing the portal jumping, we'll call it?
Yes.
Tell me what that's been like for you.
I see the portals are very cosmic. I see stars, the constellations, the Milky Way. I'm an astral traveler.
Mm-hmm.
And now they have me in the Hall of Records.
Tell me about that.
He says that we can visit the Hall of Records.
Mm-hmm. Would you like to?
I'm opening a book.
Mm-mm. What kind of book did you open?
Of all the lives that I'm experiencing right now.
Mm. And what do you find?
They're showing me an Amazonian life.
Mm-hmm.
I am a medicine woman in this life.
Mm-hmm.
They are showing me this because I've experienced these Amazonian people in this life while I've been in the astral.
Mm.
I see the Amazonian man that I've seen before.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness.
What does he look like?
He is about 5'4". He has short black hair, and he's a good husband.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen him before.
Tell me more about that.
In this life, I've seen him in my dreams, and he's talked to me.
Mm-hmm.
He's helped me. He took me on a journey once, and he showed me the forest in the Amazon. He showed me where there were spirits trapped there from a tragedy and a fire. It was an act of genocide.
Mm.
I am his wife. I was his wife, but I also feel like I am.
Mm.
Like I'm living a present multidimensional life with him.
Mm-hmm.
I can see my feet, and we're walking in the rainforest, and I can hear birds. I have red paint across my face. It's across my eyes. I have very dark black eyes and dark black hair.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a bit shorter than he is.
And why are they showing you this life?
We had contact with star people.
Mm. Tell me more about that.
They visit us.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like they're Andromeda people. Like they have a relationship with us.
Mm.
That we are part of them.
That's fascinating.
That we are part of their race.
Mm-hmm.
They don't visit much anymore.
No.
Just certain times of the year.
What do you mean, certain times of the year?
Celestial events.
Mm.
We look to the sky. The seven sister stars.
Tell me more about that.
When they are brightest, they come. That's when they stay the longest.
Yeah.
They bring us teachings.
Like what?
To be self-sustainable, disease, and they're also warning us.
Mm-hmm.
We are the Inca people. That's who we are.
Tell me more about that. What do you mean?
They are warning us of these people coming.
Mm-hmm.
There's people that are going to come and they're going to burn our villages, and we must be prepared.
And what do you do?
I'm listening to them talking. I'm sitting around a fire, and I'm listening to the leaders of our village talking with the star people.
Are there star people in physical form?
Yes.
And do they talk with words or?
Yes, some of them are.
Mm-hmm. And what do the star people look like?
They all look different. They all come from the same place of some sort of alliance.
Mm-hmm.
And they all came together. The Andromeda people have like a golden bluish tinge to their skin. More of what a human skin would look like, but with a tinge of blue. Their eyes are very large and almond-shaped. The one that's here, he's about 5'8" to 6 foot tall. It's very long fingers, a small mouth, flat nose, but larger nostrils so for the breathing.
Mm-hmm.
They are warning some of us that some of this will be inevitable.
What do you mean?
Like it must happen.
Why is that?
We chose the experience.
And why are they telling you this?
So we can preserve some of our culture and some of the stuff that they came to help us with.
That's interesting. Can you tell me more about what it is that you're looking to preserve?
The structures,
Like what?
the pyramid.
Tell me more about that.
They helped us build some of those structures like they did in Egypt.
Yeah. Is this in Earth years after Egyptian pyramids were built, or before?
Pyramids in Egypt were built at different times.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like a pyramid with the Inca was built around the same time as Ramses the First.
Okay. And what does that pyramid represent or do for your culture and for the Andromedans?
It was built for the same purposes as the one in Egypt.
Mm.
It's a portal.
Mm-hmm.
It's to train them and for the teachers to come through the portal.
Like the star people, you mean?
Yes.
Yeah.
They also bring stuff back.
Like what?
Certain plant life.
Mm. Like what kind of plant life do they bring?
The cacao.
Mm-hmm.
And ayahuasca.
Where did they originate from?
Mars.
Mm. Can you tell me more about that?
The ayahuasca is a plant to help mankind connect with us.
Mm-hmm.
We are the star people. This plant has a very high vibration.
Mm-hmm.
It helps mankind connect. It's like picking up a telephone and calling us.
And why is it important that mankind has access to this telephone through the high vibrational plant?
For many reasons.
Mm-hmm.
To help stay in contact during these times as we step away.
Mm-hmm. Are you talking about the Incan times or the right now time?
All throughout.
Oh, okay. Like when you're not here. And what about the cacao? What gift does that bring to mankind?
In its pure form, it is nutritional.
Mm-hmm. And how is it to be consumed in its pure form?
Through drink and ceremony
Mm-hmm.
with a mushroom.
Mm-hmm. Tell me more about that.
There is a mushroom that we are bringing to the land.
Mm-hmm.
It works like the ayahuasca,
Mm-hmm.
and it to be ground down and put into the cacao,
Mm-hmm.
and to be drank in ceremony
Mm-hmm.
when connecting with the divine, with both celestial and galactic.
Mm. And what kind of mushroom is it that is intended to be mixed in with the cacao?
Mankind calls it psilocybin.
Like our magic mushrooms?
Yes.
And what would a proper ceremony look like so that mankind can connect properly?
With intent and good intent,
Mm-hmm.
not to escape.
Mm-hmm.
Offerings.
Like what?
There's cacao beans,
Mm-hmm.
cacao leaves. There's these pink flowers. I'm drinking the drink right now.
Okay. Is anyone else drinking it too?
Yes, I'm sitting around a fire with others,
Mm-hmm.
and we are all drinking it. And we're all going to go into ceremony. Some will go into a deep trance, but I am not taking a dosage to go into a trance. I'm like watching them, but taking part in the spiritual part of it.
Tell me what that's like, the experience, and what happens next. As much detail as possible.
I can see spirits moving around. I can see spirits of the forest. I'm also standing beside an Arcturian female, and she is speaking through me sometimes as well right now.
In Tina's body or your
Yes.
Incan body? Okay.
She is here. She works with my higher self, and she's showing me how she is with us in my Incan life as well. She was there in ceremony. And in connection. I feel like she's a family member, like a sister. She's here right now. I can feel her.
Tell me more about her.
She's glad that we're doing this.
Me too.
I didn't know about her.
Does she have a name that she likes to be called?
Sounds like Clary. There's a Zion here.
Tell me more about them.
He's my brother. He's Arcturian. They want to tell me that they are very proud of me. They are here with one of my Star People elders. He's standing at the foot of the bed.
The elder?
Yes.
And tell me more about the elder.
I've seen him before. He's wearing a white, long coat of some sort with crystals all attached to it. It would look to us like rhinestones attached to a jacket. He is bluish, grayish color because he is very advanced. He is one of my teachers and spirit elders, and he says that he has given me information, what we call psychic downloads.
Tell me more about that.
He gives me information and predictions as timelines shift and as I shift. He says that yes, we have gone through a shift and that things have changed, but we still headed into a direction of renewal and letting go of our comforts. He says that we're ready. He's talking about us too.
Yeah.
But he says the majority of the collective is getting there.
What other information does he have about that? Can you expand a bit more?
He says that he can't go into too much detail.
Why is that?
Because things change.
Mm-hmm.
And things will change again.
Mm-hmm.
How the flow is right now. But he says it's moving into a positive direction the way it's going.
Mm-hmm. Can he share what he sees from his side and how the flow is moving towards a positive direction and what is contributing to that?
He says that with the awakening and people going back to self-sovereignty is what's starting this raising in consciousness.
And what is self-sovereignty according to him?
In the physical, it's eating better what your body needs, not what you want. Producing it by yourself and with community. Spiritual sovereignty is remembering who you really are in the matrix.
Would he like to expand upon what the matrix is from his perspective?
Our asleep state, allowing forces to control us and oppress us.
What does he mean when he says our asleep state?
Our attachments to the physical. How divided we can be.
May I ask, before we go further with that, where your teacher or the elder comes from? And if he has a name he'd like to be called?
He comes from Arcturus.
Okay.
That's what we're called, the planet.
Yeah. Does he have a name that he'd like to be called?
Emot.
Emot?
Is what we can pronounce.
Right. And why is Emot working with Tina?
I'm working under him.
Okay.
I work with him. He helped guide me to come. I took his advice when I volunteered.
Tell me more about that.
Humanity was walking in loops and circles on many timelines, going around and around and around in circles. No karma was being undone. Physical, mental, emotional health was going down rapidly. They were not thinking for themselves. They were not connected to their spiritual.
How did that happen?
He says that they keep listening to the darker forces and they listen to their shadows. The saying, your pain is talking, which is a shadow. They identify themselves as pain, which he says they have lost their minds.
Tell me more about that. Can you explain that better? For maybe someone else might listen to this that doesn't quite understand what that means.
When humanity identifies as pain and fear, they lose themselves. They lose their connection to their spiritual. They are only to learn from their pain and fear, not to identify as it. That has been the first mistake with humanity.
Right. And how did that happen? What was the root cause or origination of that mistake occurring?
They allowed the oppressor to think for them.
And where does the oppressor originator stem from?
The reptilians, the darker.
And where do they come from?
Some come from part of Orion's belt. They wanted control. This isn't about control. It's about bringing everybody together.
So why did they want control? Where did that need or want for control come from?
It's like some sort of chemical imbalance within them. Some sort of greed that is not like us. We do not live in fear, but they want fear.
Yeah, how did that originate in them and not others? I'm just curious how that all started.
They're talking amongst each other about it.
Who is?
The ones that are here?
Arcturians?
Yes, my elder. They said that it's a lot for us to understand.
Yeah. Is there a simplified way they could present it to our human minds? Because it's nice for us to understand the root cause origination of something. It reduces fear and provides us an elevated way of navigating.
Like a chemical imbalance that happened within them.
Yeah. Like, is that like their DNA or genetics, or did something happen to create that chemical imbalance?
They said that they are still getting to the root of it.
Oh, okay.
But it was like some sort of DNA or chemical imbalance. And then the others followed.
Right. How would that chemical imbalance be created? I'm just curious if it's like evolutionary or another species or beings creating or manipulating. Just curious how that works.
It feels like they went to a part of the galaxy they were not supposed to.
Okay.
Like they came in contact with something that they shouldn't have.
Like what?
Like a poison of some sort. Like they stepped into something. It looks like some sort of river on a planet. It has it's running with black tar. And this small group stepped into it or made contact with it, and they shouldn't have. It was like drinking a poison that altered them.
Right.
And they turned into something that they shouldn't have.
Like, what were they before that interaction with that black tar? We'll call it, or that river.
There's some reptilians that do not have bad intentions. These reptilians stepped into the substance of this tar stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very thick and black. They were told not to go there.
Right.
And they did.
Are there other beings that have done something similar like that, or?
He says no.
I'm just curious. I like chasing that down the rabbit hole, I'll call it. Like, where did this planet or place of existence where this black tar even originate from?
He says that it broke off of another one in a time that he cannot explain. A planet collided and broke off into pieces, and then turned into a solitary one. Some sort of chemical reaction happened, and it floated into a further part of the universe. And he says that's all he's going to say.
Well, thank you. I appreciate the explanation, just kind of finding the root cause behind that. And why are we receiving this information today, and what should we be doing with the information?
He feels that we're ready to hear it. And it's part of our awakening and understanding. He says not everybody is able to understand. He says that also we have transcended the majority of our internal fears, and that we can handle this sort of information.
And what does he mean by us? Does he mean like the collective or certain people, or what?
Tina and Candice.
And what should Tina and Candice be doing with this information that we're receiving today?
We may share it with certain individuals that can handle it in time, what we call time. He feels that we will know when. Write it down.
What about using parts of this audio recording? Would that be appropriate at this time, or should we wait to share that content?
He says it's fine.
Okay. And is there anything else from the lives that we were visiting with Tina that we should be revisiting or exploring further today?
He's saying that we should be planning to further build community with healthier food in the springtime. He's showing me of people coming together. I see an era of happier people because they have their skills. The vision he's putting in front of me is what he recommends.
Okay.
He says that our water in some people's tap water is making them sick. We must drink more pure organic water. And he does not approve of fluoride.
Can you tell us more about what's in the water that's making people sick and how people can source healthy water and pure water?
We can filter water through charcoal and sand. He feels as people start awakening and use less chemicals, that the rivers will rejuvenate themselves. We use less plastics, less waste. As we return to making food ourselves, we will use less plastic.
Right. How does he feel about those hydrogen water bottles?
If it's in plastic, he says no.
Okay. If it's in glass?
Yes.
What about well water?
People should be checking their well water at least a couple times a year in case of any runoff or a probability of E. coli. But keep your area clean and clear, more organic.
What about UV filters or sediment filters?
Yes.
Any other methods of purifying or cleansing water that he can recommend for people?
Those methods that were said he's okay with.
Okay.
He just says that as we use less waste, there'll be less worry.
Would he like to expand on the waste and how we can right now easily reduce that just to make it more accessible for the everyday person and making a difference?
As people produce their own food and preserve it themselves, there will be less waste. I see he's showing me less reliability on grocery stores is less waste. He's showing me the plastic around food. He says that's a waste of our time.
Yeah.
Not only is it a waste on Earth, but it's a waste of our own time. It's a waste of our energy.
What does he mean?
It's something that's not needed, but yet we continue to waste our energy using it.
Like in opening it, like physically, or just creating it in general?
Creating it.
Yeah.
And using it. The people that create it to put on food is a waste of time. When we could be focusing on making our own.
And what does he recommend for people? Not everyone can make everything for themselves. Would he like to provide different examples of different things that people can create on their own?
He says to picture ourselves in a medieval time where you went to a proprietor in a market where everybody had a specialty in something, and they went around and they traded and bartered for this and for that what people had a specialty in. People thrived. Community was self-sustainable. Somebody had a specialty in something, and people have forgotten the skills that they come with upon incarnation. And that's why Earth has gone in this direction on this timeline, but is starting to move back to those times, and that's what they like.
Right. And why is it important that we move towards that timeline that he's recommending?
We're happier and healthier.
Right.
We're not rushing. We are living more in the present moments.
What about people who say that they don't have time to do things on their own and make their own stuff?
He says they do, though. He says that's a karmic loop that humanity has put itself in, where they think they don't have time because they're always in a rush. They're always catapulting into the future or living in the past. If they would stop and listen in the present moments, they would see that they do have time and that they are getting in their own way.
Mm-hmm. How does he recommend people create that time or embrace that time?
Taking your skills back. Everybody has skills.
Mm-hmm.
You've just forgotten them.
What are Tina's skills in that regard?
She's a healer.
Mm-hmm.
She's a teacher. She knows how to produce her own food. She can harvest medicines. She has an inner knowing, and she shows them the way. She would survive.
Mm-hmm.
She also, if anything were to happen, she would bring people together.
Mm-hmm. In what way would she do that?
She would show them how.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people would go to her to show
Mm-hmm.
them how. They would feel lost,
Mm-hmm.
and she would give them the way,
Mm-hmm.
and then they would leave knowing how.
Mm-hmm. Is that something you recommend she steps into?
She already is.
Beautiful. And what are ways of preserving the food that people produce that you recommend?
Smoking, drying, the more modern canning. Are the top three
Mm-hmm.
that mankind can do now.
Mm-hmm. What about refrigeration? Is that something that people should be stepping away from or still utilizing and embracing?
Yes. Building root cellars.
Mm-hmm.
He's showing me greenhouses.
Mm-hmm.
He has me inside of a root cellar that can be built.
Mm-hmm.
It has wood shavings in it
Mm-hmm.
as a form of holding it together, or some sort of insulation
Mm-hmm.
below the ground where the temperature stays consistently cold.
Mm-hmm.
He says that is a good way of how we used to do it.
Mm. Is there somewhere on Tina's property where he recommends she should build such a structure?
Yes.
Would you like to share that with her?
Yes, we are showing her.
Okay. Do you mind vocalizing it so she can listen to it on the recording so it doesn't fade into her subconscious? It remains up in the forefront of her consciousness?
Near the shipping containers, in front of them, dig down. There is bedrock there. Dig down at least 10 feet. And then put a timber roof on it and steps to go down. This will last a very long time, even after she's gone.
Mm-hmm. How wide should it be?
It looks to be 10 by 10.
Mm-hmm.
But he says that it can be smaller.
Yep.
Like, he's showing me, give me an example of 6 by 6. But he feels 10 by 10 is good for a family of 4 to 5 with extra, depending on what you are storing.
What would people store in these structures?
You can hang meat.
Like dried or smoked meat?
Fresh meat after it's been harvested. While you are harvesting it, it can be stored to be preserved while you were cutting it up.
And you said there's bedrock. Will she have to blast or drill through bedrock, or she'll dig 10 feet and then reach bedrock?
Dig 10 feet and reach it.
Okay.
And it's around it.
Okay. So like one of the walls will be kind of bedrock, you mean?
Yes.
Okay. Any other things that she should know about how to build this structure for her and her husband?
Put a drainage hose around it at the bottom of the hill so water doesn't run into it in the spring. There's always a thaw in the spring, and there must be some sort of drainage put in front of it so the water will either go left to right.
And is your teacher or elder able to view my property and see if there's a recommendation where we should build some sort of a food storage structure?
Near the large garden, to my right of it.
The one on the road?
Yes.
And if you were looking from the house at the garden?
I'm looking to my right, and then to my left. Right now, the way I'm here right now, I'm looking to the left, and I'm standing in the middle of the garden, facing the road, and to my left is where you can dig.
Okay. Like in that garden area?
Yes.
Okay. And so we dig up part of where the garden is and replace that with the root cellar?
But I also feel that you could dig to my right as well, from where I am. I feel like if you took channeling rods, and as long as they didn't pick up water, because I hear water running on your property somewhere. He's also recommending that you get a greenhouse.
What kind?
Something that is at least 10 by 15 to feed your family. Grow winter vegetables. You can plant them in the fall.
What about the Wallapini Trevor's constructing?
His guides are approving of it.
Okay.
They're not saying too much on it. I'm just seeing their nodding and approval. He says that you two have already talked about, or you're planning. You're expanding your homestead, and he approves of that.
Yeah. We're making it up as we go. What about other ways for people to be more self-sustainable? We've talked about water. We've talked about growing food and preserving and storing. Anything else?
growing medicines,
Mm.
more plants, taking them more into your diet,
Mm-hmm.
learning more about them.
Are there certain, I want to say, geographic areas or certain types of people that should focus on maybe particular types of medicines?
As people start eating more organically and better, the cancer will go down.
Mm-hmm.
So they will require less of that being injected into the body. People lack a lot of antioxidants in their diet.
Mm-hmm.
He says that we have poor immune, that it flip-flops. It goes up and down, up and down. He says that people used to be able to understand the plants, and the plant would almost tell them that it needs to go in their body. He is showing me the white pine. He recommends the white pine, especially during the winter. The white pine with the terpenes helps in the mental and the emotional. It helps uplift the mind, and it boosts the immune with antioxidants.
And how should people harvest that to put it into and prepare it to put into their bodies?
He says that it's best fresh when picked. That's why the evergreens are like that all the time,
Mm-hmm.
because they don't need to be dried.
Mm-hmm.
You can take about, he's showing me 8 to 10 pine needles in a cup. Just pick them off and put them in a cup with hot water.
So you don't need very much.
No.
Like, are you talking about boiling water?
Yes.
Yeah, like a tea. Any other recommendations for plant medicines?
The nutrients from the chaga mushroom.
Mm-hmm.
People lack the magnesium and vitamin D.
Mm-hmm.
The lack of magnesium and vitamin D has affected the human brain quite a bit, quite significantly.
Mm-hmm.
He shows me how it has affected with depression
Mm.
and poor heart health. The chaga mushroom helps create flow in the blood.
Mm-hmm. And how does that help with the magnesium and vitamin D? Or does it?
It helps increase what we are lacking.
Mm-hmm.
He says the vitamin D, the majority of people that take it in a pill, they end up just urinating it out.
Mm-hmm.
And that affects our mood.
Right. And so they can get it through the chaga, or does the chaga help them to absorb it better? I just want to make sure I understand.
They get it through the chaga.
Okay. And is there a certain amount they should drink, or can they overdrink it?
He shows me a chunk of it about 1 inch in size that can be steeped to make a full pot.
Mm-hmm.
It looks to be about 10 quarts
Mm-hmm.
of water. To steep it and drink it now and then. for a treatment, 2 cups a day for about 7 days. Give it a break. And then do it again, especially during winter time, until our diets get better. He says he also recommends that we eat seasonally, like we used to again.
Can you expand on that?
Some of the food that we get shipped from other countries has been sprayed heavily with like chemicals that are making us sick just to be transported. If we ate seasonally, we wouldn't have that problem.
Right. What does he recommend for winter when things seem to be more scarce? Or we perceive it to be that way, I should say.
We perceive it that way.
Yes.
We would have it in our pantries once again. We can still harvest from the evergreen trees. We can harvest from the inner bark of the birch for pain. We can harvest from the juniper. There are many things for us to relearn again.
Is there anything else that people should be do to prepare themselves and to live a more self-sustaining life that he can recommend?
Lose our fear of it.
Can he expand on that fear that we have?
He says that mankind has become reliant and attached out of fear. The reliance on modern stores has created a belief system of lack.
What is the truth?
That mankind has lost its way. Mankind has forgotten that this is where their ancestors came from. Mankind feels that they have advanced, but really they have gone backwards.
Tell me more about that.
Like the scene in the medieval times in the market, where everybody has a specialty in something, and there are many sources available for everybody's health. But now everybody relies on a technology or a store.
Would he like to share information on the current deconstruction and maybe new reconstruction of different facets of our society that we're experiencing?
He says to elaborate because that can be many avenues.
That's fair. The two that come to my mind are technology and financial, but if there are other things that he feels are more important for us to gain wisdom and knowledge from, I'm definitely open to those.
He's recommending, he says that we must bring awareness to our physical health and our mental health in order to return to the ways of our ancestors. He says there's a blockage in the mental where people have a belief system that this is the only way to rely on the system.
Right.
When the system is actually run by the reptilians
Mm-hmm.
and is making the majority of humanity sick. So unplugging from the system will help bring humanity back to thinking for themselves, because the stuff in the food is creating addiction, and people are losing their mental power.
Mm-hmm.
There's cancer growing in their bodies.
Mm-hmm. And why is that?
It's in the food.
And why is it being put in the food?
Because the reptilians want to oppress humanity.
And why is that?
It's a spiritual war.
Mm-hmm. And how do the reptilians logistically do this? Are they in physical form carrying these things out? Can he explain that in a way that the average person that maybe is hearing this for the first time may understand?
Some are in physical form. Some have these reptilian souls within them.
Mm-hmm.
They are naturally oppressive, narcissistic, tyrannical. Some of them started taking over the system in this timeline in the past, what he says, 170 years.
Mm-hmm.
And then humanity started really declining in the past 60.
Would it be of any importance or relevance to know of any key players that maybe were in the past or are currently working for reptilian forces?
He says he can speak on this a little bit.
Okay.
South of us, there was reptilian forces for the majority. The one that stepped in is not reptilian.
Mm-hmm.
We have a reptilian here currently.
Mm-hmm.
He says he will not last because the collective are awakening and the majority.
Mm-hmm.
He says that's all he can touch on that one.
Okay. Thank you. Is there anything else you'd like to share about how things are being kind of deconstructed and reconstructed, or just the physical and mental is what people should be focusing on for now?
He still recommends the physical and the mental.
Mm-hmm.
As people start to provide for themselves again and eat more organically,
Mm-hmm.
it's like something awakens within them.
Mm-hmm.
They have like a new perspective on things.
Mm-hmm.
And they feel more at peace and more at calm. And they feel more connected with others because they're creating healthy relationships again.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of feeling lack and scarce and in a hurry. And he says the economy, as it collapses, we feel less fear and control around money. That system is slowly falling apart.
Mm-hmm. And how will we see that occurring around us? How will we observe that? What will that look like in our lifetime and then maybe beyond?
He says it's already happening.
Mm-hmm.
People are trading again.
Mm-hmm.
The people on farms and homesteads that produce their own are trading amongst each other.
Mm-hmm.
That brings everybody's power back.
Mm-hmm. What about the people living in the cities?
He says that they will take it the worst, the hardest, because they rely on the fast paced in the stores.
Mm-hmm.
The majority of them live in fear.
Mm-hmm.
But of course they won't tell you that, he says.
Right. What does he recommend for people living in the cities that would maybe like to take a step into awakening and being self-sustainable and stepping out of the current structure and participating in the new way of being?
He says for them to get more involved.
Mm-hmm. And how do they do that?
Stepping out of their self-limitations.
Mm-hmm.
Going to markets. Shopping from farmers.
Mm-hmm.
Growing on their balconies. Because he says that the majority of them, they try to convince themselves that they don't have time or the space, but they do.
Mm-hmm.
He says because in ancient civilizations, when their ancestors lived in cities, people still were self-sustainable.
Mm-hmm.
They still had gardens and water, and they still visited markets, like the scene he showed me from medieval times.
Mm-hmm. What about someone that has no money and there's, I can't afford to eat organic, those narratives? I'm trying to think of a one little way that someone could maybe hear this and overcome an obstacle that they've put in front of themselves.
He says that's a reflection to do it yourself.
Mm-hmm.
He agrees with the tyrannical raising in prices of organic food. He says that's not how it's supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
He says once we start growing our own and trading amongst each other, then we don't need money.
Mm-hmm. And then to play devil's advocate, what about people that have to pay their mortgages or their hydro or their car insurance, gasoline, etc.?
He says to make room for things one thing at a time. He says as we take our own control over food, we can help create more space for those kind of bills, he says.
Mm-hmm.
He says to just take one thing at a time
Mm-hmm.
during these times.
Mm-hmm.
He's using Tina as an example
Mm-hmm.
because she hardly shops for food because she grows it herself. So that eased up on the energy bills.
Mm-hmm.
He says it's all about balance, but don't jump in to create panic He says allow the ideas to come to you. Allow the flow to come in. He shows me to work together with partners and yourselves and your family, showing them the way of the new generation of children, showing the children, giving them the skills and the confidence, because we've lost our confidence.
And what is the earth going to look like within Tina's lifetime? What shifts, changes, etc. is she going to witness?
I see the collapse of people that were worshipped will now be collapsed. Where people that were put in the dark will now rise. And it won't be anymore about worshiping people of this. It looks to be celebrities.
Mm-hmm.
He says that people put them on a pedestal when they don't really have any skills.
Mm-hmm.
But he says the majority of them there are an illusion, only to show us, mirror back to us what we should be fixing within ourselves.
Mm.
But he says some of them are of the darker.
Mm-hmm.
Tina will see renewal. She's been witnessing it. We gave her this information.
Mm-hmm.
We give her and many others like her information, little bits at a time, as humanity can handle it.
Mm-hmm. Is there anything else you'd like to say about that before I ask another question?
They feel that positive change is coming based on action, to keep unlearning to relearn.
Mm.
Taking your confidence back by being the way shower. Way showers start a domino effect.
Mm-hmm. Would you like to provide any insights on something we've been hearing about, something called the solar flash?
Yes. There has two that have been affecting humanity on this timeline, and the cosmic energies that have been coming in.
Mm-hmm.
Raphael says it's the rattling of the cage, the solar flares. It's shaking people up in their emotions of stuff that they're hiding within them.
Mm-hmm.
The earth vibrations from the earth, and it is splitting. Soon there will be two, it's like a separation. Those that are still choosing fear, pain, and attachments will be separated from those that are choosing a higher consciousness. Everybody will still be on the same earthly plane, but there will be people that just naturally move away from their existence.
Mm-hmm.
Families will separate. Those that are still choosing karma, those that are still choosing cycles, will move away from the ones that are choosing evolution.
Mm-hmm. And how else will we see that play out physically, but also I'm thinking mentally and emotionally? Like I'm thinking of the mainstream media feeding us, we'll call it this information in quotations, etc. How is that going to be affected by this splitting consciousness?
He says that people are already moving away from listening. He calls it propaganda.
Mm-hmm.
More and more people are moving away from it, but there's still work to do.
Mm-hmm.
Some, even though they're calling themselves awake, they still have muted, limited perspectives.
Mm-hmm.
They're still believing lies being told because of the lack of inner work that they still need to do.
Mm-hmm.
But he says to still keep being the way shower because they're paying attention.
Mm-hmm. And what would you say to those that still feel it would be very rude or inconsiderate or cold hearted to ignore the terrible things happening to these good people across the world somewhere else?
He says to detach from that sort of perspective
Mm-hmm.
because there's some illusions going on and some truths that are not being told. And he's talking about a war across the sea. There's a lot more to it that we are not paying attention to. But he feels that's coming to an end.
Mm-hmm.
He says a way that we can help is by sending energy. We don't need the pressure of sending resources. We can send energy.
Mm-hmm.
We have forgotten how strong our energy is,
Mm-hmm.
like how the pyramids were built.
Mm-hmm. Can you expand upon that, please? Maybe using the analogy of the pyramids with how powerful we are today and how people can harness the energy today.
Practicing using our mind, visualizing, remote viewing, astral traveling. But it's emptying our minds full of attachments and control of the ego, transcendence, finding ourselves again, reaching a state of inner peace. He feels that he's showing me the past 6 years there's been a jump. and he feels another shift is coming. As more and more transcend their own inner conflict into inner peace. And as we lose the inner conflict within our minds, we can see more clear. As we see more clear, our surroundings become more clear. That's the best way he can put it.
Thank you. And you said there was a couple solar flashes or activities that have happened. Can you expand upon that? I think some people have it in the head that there's this big one-time event that's going to occur.
He says it's already happened. People will get, I feel it'll be people that are intuitive, who know how to connect to source, will get ringing in the ears, and they will feel the shift. It's all by feel. He says that's the best way to put it in terms that we can understand.
Is he essentially saying we'll all experience it maybe at a different time, the way we understand it, when we're ready to meet that resonance? Like it's the energies available for us to tap into whenever we awaken to that frequency?
A level.
A level.
He says not everybody is feeling the flares in the cosmic energy. They're still walking around in a karmic loop. He's showing me how people are walking around still in a circle and in a 3D consciousness sort of frame of mind with fear. And then he's showing me a group of people in the middle that are ready to shift but don't quite know where to go. And then he's showing me another group of people that are ready for change, and they're moving in that direction, and they're doing it in peace. They are the peaceful warriors, and they are being guided, and they are listening.
And so, just to make sure I understand, is there another solar flash or other kind of event that is coming up in our near future or within Tina's lifetime?
Yes.
Would you like to expand on that?
The best way he can explain it is in about a month time, because he knows that we need to measure time.
It's all probabilities.
Yes, it feels like within 30 days. And I feel another coming as spring approaches. But he says that can shift as people awaken.
Yeah. How does the awakening of humanity affect the solar flares or vice versa? Because they seem to be kind of interchangeable or symbiotic in some way, the way Raphael's explaining them.
The awakening dismantles the veil, and that raises the vibration around the people. He says that they are also sending in energy themselves, the Galactics and the Celestials. They are moving in closer and working with humanity without interference. But he says that Starseeds and light workers are using their free will to also ask them to step forward.
Mm-hmm.
He says the vibration has raised quite a bit, which has stimulated Mother Earth to start splitting in timelines and shifts.
Mm-hmm.
He says the animals have been feeling it.
And what does that split look like? Is it like a left, right, yin yang, or is there a multiple split, like more than one type of existence?
He shows me how it splits in two, but this is happening on many timelines,
Mm-hmm.
which is helping with the raising in consciousness and undoing old karma.
Mm-hmm.
They are losing their power.
Yeah. And can you tell me how people will know that's happening? How can they tune into these changes or these timeline shifts or these solar flares? What are some things that they may notice within themselves?
They feel more inner peace on a genuine level. He says it's already been happening. More people are coming together. They're taking their skills back.
Mm-hmm.
That is a sign. He's looking at us. He's standing at the edge of the bed and he's pointing, and he says that we are doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I just got goosebumps.
Mm-hmm.
There's more of them that are stepping forward.
Mm-hmm.
There's one that just stepped in. He's very tall and he looks like one of the lions that I seen at the pyramids.
Mm-hmm.
He says that he visits here and he comes to this property, that he's part of this family.
Like physically here at my house, you mean?
Yes. He's a guardian.
Can you expand on that?
He's part of this family's star family.
Mm. In what way?
He's related to Candice.
Mm-hmm.
He comes from her star family. He is a protector, and he's been coming in closer lately to guard this property.
Mm-hmm.
He says there's nothing to fear. It's just part of the process. And because they're being called, they're being asked to step forward.
Mm. By who?
Light workers and star seeds.
Like myself, you mean?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
We're doing what we're supposed to be doing.
Mm-hmm. Does he have a name?
He says we can call him Lyle.
Mm-hmm.
It's a short form of a name, of his formal name.
Mm-hmm.
He says it's a lot easier for us to say.
Mm-hmm.
He says his formal name and his language represents water.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like he has a high status role of some sort. He's some sort of protector of the realm. And he's quite wise. If we were to see him with our physical eyes, I feel we'd be a little shocked, but he has a very compassionate and loving nature about him.
Why would we be shocked?
Because he's over 7 feet tall and he's a lion walking on 2 feet.
Mm-hmm.
He's wearing armor. His voice is soft.
Mm-hmm.
If you were to hear him talk, you wouldn't fear him.
In what realm is he protecting?
Many. Mainly in the spiritual wars.
Mm-hmm. Will he ever become in physical form in Candice's or Tina's lifetime?
He says that they want to, and they're waiting for the right time.
And is there any blue energy associated with him or his people?
More golden, pinks, yellow, red. Burgundy.
And what's his relation to my star family, I guess? Or how am I related to that?
I feel like he's like a matriarch or like a head of the household. Someone you go to for advice, like an elder. I feel like he's one of your elders.
Okay. And is there any messages that he wants to share with us today?
He says all is well and that we are on the right path in alignment individually. He says that we're both way showers. He said the meeting was all in alignment because they are unified on the other side. He says that we had some help.
I can feel that. Thanks, guys. You said a few others stepped forward. Is there any other messages that they would like to share that you feel are relevant?
They are discussing it amongst each other. They want to answer our question about contact.
Yes. Go ahead.
They want this to happen, but they're waiting until people are ready. He says that they've already been going into our consciousness and our dreamings to help prepare us. They do feel our excitement, and they know it's part of our starseed soul. But we must wait because everything is divine timing. But we also have to match their vibration. We must keep healing, letting go, and going with the transformations, working on our health, He says the Palladians and the Arcturians will start working with star seeds and light workers more often to work on our health, to raise our vibration. He says that is the key.
Mm-hmm.
We have to meet their vibration, and we're not quite there yet.
Is there a way for us to measure the vibration that they are and that we are at now and where we need to go?
He says that's hard to put into terms.
Mm-hmm.
To go by our intuitive feelings is how he's putting it.
Mm-hmm.
He wants us to practice more remote viewing and astral traveling.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to help us.
Can he expand on that so other people can tap into this and practice on their own?
It's almost going to help us in meeting them. Meeting them in the astral is going to help us meeting them in the physical.
Mm-hmm. And how do people do the astral thing? Can you explain that to people that maybe are not familiar with what that is and what that experience might be like?
When our physical bodies are sleeping, the astral spirit enters that dimension, setting the intention before sleep to be open to receiving, but also with boundaries because of the darker things that are out there. There is some darker things that like to manipulate the mind. Some act in a sexual, but those are for the ones that are still holding on to inner shadows. He says you may use some forms of crystals. He is showing me a green stone that comes from a meteorite. That helps raise the vibration for those that astral travel. Use your intent to gain information, not to play around.
What's the name of the green stone?
Malachite.
Mm-hmm. And what do you mean when you said some of the darker forces, I understand, will maybe try to change and alter our thought patterns, but you said some of them doing something sexual. Can you expand on that so people can understand what you mean?
Shadow projections.
In what way?
They come from people still holding on to pain and fear.
Mm-hmm.
I see them floating and out and about in the astral. They're like dark projections that people have formed with their pain and fear. And they've taken on almost like a consciousness of them, of their own.
Mm-hmm.
And they evolve. But they also dissipate as people transcend their pain and fear.
Mm-hmm.
I feel he's given me a sense of as long as we set the intent of where we want to go in the astral, those will not bother us.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And so as we're doing these astral travels you set the intention, what will people experience as they're first tapping into it? I know as we go deeper it'll be expand, but when they're first doing it, what will they notice or maybe not notice?
Vivid dreams, talking to people, talking to passed on loved ones, what they call it. Some of them, when they're just beginning, they feel like they're being slammed back into their bodies, like they're being jolted.
Mm-hmm.
Flying above water, flying above their house, running and feeling free. They will be generally astral traveling when they have those sensations.
Mm-hmm. And what about when people don't consciously remember the full experience?
They will still wake up with the information.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have to remember to still have the download.
Mm-hmm.
But it's practicing getting there.
Mm-hmm. And what about remote viewing?
Remote viewing is a bit different than astral traveling. It's more visual, staying in one place and looking around, but also seeing farther away, jumping into quantum leaping, some would call it.
Mm-hmm.
The clairvoyant does a visual and can take themselves there. In the astral traveling, it's with action and moving in and out of realms and dimensions.
Mm-hmm.
Remote viewing, you are staying in the same dimension and realm.
Okay. And when someone has an experience like the quantum healing hypnosis technique, would that be considered? What would that be considered?
They are talking.
Mm-hmm.
They put it into words of universal. They said that the quantum field is with all of them, with many dimensions, many parallel realities.
Mm-hmm.
They said it's hard for us to fully comprehend.
Mm-hmm.
It's energy.
Mm-hmm. Is what Tina and other clients experience through quantum healing hypnosis technique, is that something that people can do on their own as well?
For the most
Mm-hmm.
part, but they also feel that it should be guided by somebody,
Mm-hmm.
by a healer.
Mm-hmm. And why is that?
Guidance,
Mm-hmm.
protection.
Mm-hmm.
The healer calls them in. The healer looks after the client.
Mm-hmm.
it's working all together. That's what he says.
Okay. And so we've talked about how people can start raising their vibration by remote viewing, practicing astral traveling. What else, if anything, would they like to share about open contact?
They're talking.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like they're discussing, putting things into terms that we can understand, but also things that we are allowed to know.
Mm-hmm.
He says that many intuitives have already been given information. The vision, the sightings above water, the lights in the sky, is to help mentally prepare us I see them underwater.
Mm-hmm.
They are also underneath ancient structures, like the pyramids
Mm-hmm.
in Egypt and South America.
Like physically, or?
Yes.
Okay. Which ones? Like which beings?
Pleiadians,
Mm-hmm.
Andromedas,
Mm-hmm.
Blue Avians,
So if someone was to go down the right places, they would find these physical beings?
no, you would find their ships.
Mm-hmm.
The physical part of them is on the next realm beside us.
Okay.
It's like a vibration,
Mm-hmm.
like a ceiling fan that goes faster and faster and faster and faster.
Mm-hmm.
And as that fan moves so fast, we can't see it until it slows down.
Yeah. So they would be able to see us because we're moving slower.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And how come we would be able to see their ships but not them? Is it because the ships are a different vibration? They're made out of something different?
Yes, they were left there.
Mm-hmm.
They were left there upon the first contact
Mm-hmm.
with the Inca people
Mm-hmm.
and the people before them.
Mm-hmm.
The many ancient civilizations. Slowly, humanity is starting to find the evidence.
Mm-hmm.
But that's how we want it to be.
Mm-hmm. Can you tell me more about the gold box you mentioned earlier in Egypt?
Yes. It has scrolls inside of it of how the pyramids were constructed. There is also he says that there is also talk of realms
Mm-hmm.
and portals and how to get through them.
Mm-hmm.
He says the best way to call them is teachings,
Mm-hmm.
and some of them He says they're what we call blueprints, but not quite.
Mm-hmm. Blueprints for what?
He says it's hard to put into words, but it's like how the pyramids were built to hold portals.
Mm-hmm.
He says that they used to go into them. These priests and teachers used to lay them down and do astral traveling and quantum leaping into other portals and other dimensions.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like how Sasquatch does now.
Mm-hmm. Can you tell me more about that?
Sasquatch is an evolved hominid being that has become so evolved that they can go dimension to dimension just with a thought.
Mm-hmm.
They are very clairvoyant. And that's how we used to be able to
Mm-hmm.
function.
Mm-hmm. And what language are these scrolls written in?
It looks to be like an ancient text of lines. Some call it Arabic, but I feel it's older. He says it's in symbols,
Mm-hmm.
and some of it is from them.
Did Tina have anything to do with the scrolls in that life that you showed her earlier today?
She was there.
Mm-hmm. Did she write anything on any of the scrolls?
No.
Would she be able, that version of her, be able to understand the scrolls if that version of her were to read them?
She would recognize the symbols as something that looks familiar, but not understanding
Mm-hmm.
what they meant.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them were written by a small group of priests
Mm-hmm.
and teachers that they were only to know.
Right. Is there any information on those scrolls that would be appropriate to be channeled through in writing today through Tina?
He says it isn't the time.
Okay. Will there be a time where that is appropriate?
He says he feels soon.
Okay.
There's
And
something on the scrolls
mm-hmm.
that we still have to awaken to.
Can he expand on that for us?
He says it has to do with celestial events.
Like what?
They're talking amongst each other. I feel like they're discussing whether they can tell us.
Mm-hmm.
He says he feels it's almost time for us to understand. He's making me feel a portal.
Mm-hmm.
He says that's what's written on them, is talk of portals.
Okay.
And how everything was built. And their story is being told on those papers.
Mm-hmm.
The Sphinx is a guardian and a symbol. And there's something underneath that he's not going to relay.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what he's going to say for now.
Okay. Thank you. What relationship to Egypt or the Sphinx does Tina have, or myself? Because this is the second time this has come up between Tina and I.
The Lyrans help build the pyramids,
Mm-hmm.
and they are your star people. Tina chose to incarnate to witness this event in that lifetime,
Mm-hmm.
as she is in alliance with the Lyrans.
Mm-hmm.
She chose to see this all take place in this ancient civilization, what you would call.
Mm-hmm.
To witness this event. Because upon contact, what your star families want to do is to download and give you the knowledge of where you really come from.
Mm-hmm.
They are giving us bit by bit, so it's not so much of a shock.
Yeah. Um, does Tina have more than one star family that she is from? And would anyone like to share that with her to show her different lineages, if that's at all relevant?
Her soul is Arcturian.
Mm-hmm.
But she has lived amongst races that share the DNA of other galactic DNA.
Mm-hmm.
Certain races of humanity come from certain galactic families,
Mm.
but your soul always comes from one source.
Right. And what about myself? What is my soul origination, I guess?
You are from the Lyrans.
Mm-hmm.
You come from a family of warriors. You are part of the guardians of the realm and fought in the spiritual wars. You are female, your higher self. You have a partner. Your planet they're showing me your planet. It's like of sand, has like pink and golden hues, and the water has pink hues, but it's brighter. And I see you standing there. Your star family knows the Arcturians. And sometimes your higher self likes to send you this vision of standing by the water.
Mm-hmm.
It's an ocean. And your higher self likes to take you there, to meet you and to talk to you. Your higher self is very proud of you. Your higher self is showing me the number 7. I feel like you're living 7 multidimensional lives in your work here.
Mm. Can you expand on that?
You are here helping. You are a way shower. You are a light worker and a starseed. You are also teaching humanity alchemy and energy and how to alchemize that energy. You also showing them how to be the difference. They are showing me when they were working with you, I feel like it was very recently. You were sitting and you were letting some things go and some of your pain.
Mm-hmm.
And some of your galactic family came in and they took some of that and they alchemized it and they put it into the earth. You were supposed to go through some of that to prepare you. They said that you're going to go through another one, but it'll be lighter.
Mm-hmm.
This is only making space within you to prepare you for something exciting. They show me 1010, cusp of something miraculous. They said that you've been manifesting, setting your intentions.
Mm-hmm.
Your guide is flashing 111 in clock mode at you. Focus on what you love and not what you fear.
Mm-hmm.
Your abilities are growing and growing. Your clairvoyance, because they want to take you on an adventure. They want to help prepare you more strong in the astral. They don't want to give you too much.
Mm-hmm.
They want to tell you, but they can't tell you. They said it's nothing to fear.
Mm-hmm.
It's so we avoid shortcuts.
Mm-hmm.
But they don't think that we would take the shortcuts.
Mm-mm. And what is the miraculous thing that's on the cusp of?
You're growing. Your time is coming. I feel more business freedom, living your purpose,
Mm-hmm.
growing your business as a healer, but you don't look at it as a corporate business. You look at it as a loving way that you love what you do, and that's what will help you grow. You are a way shower following other way showers, and you're all feeding off each other in a healthy way. They show me they're working or touching your crown, and they're helping strengthen your energy as you let things from your past go. You've been doing some inner child healing, and they commend you for that. Your clairsentient ability is building stronger. Your youngest child is very clairsentient.
Can you expand on that?
Feeling the energies around the nature spirits. Feeling the energies of people, that they are being dishonest. Very empathic. He is also from the lions and the cat people. Choosing to incarnate with you as a third wave volunteer. There were many children sent in. They are children now, but they are starseed souls. They will be the ones that help teach us and humanity to be softer at another level, more open-hearted. These souls are very sensitive, more prone to be bullied by those who still carry inner conflict. Your children are experiencing the nature spirits you have on this property.
In what way?
They play with them.
Do they do this consciously?
In a way, when they were younger, they saw them. There are little gnome people to my right. Your children have seen these gnomes. They mean no harm. Some of them are very old. They've been here a long time. Their souls are evolutionary. I feel like one of your children has lived a life as a nature spirit before. He's been amongst the gnomes. They will protect him and this property.
Which child?
The youngest. They played with him. I see them peeking over a hill, just observing. They find joy watching them play. But as they get older, they haven't been interacting with them. They just observe now.
Why is that?
I feel that they are losing memory of them as they get older. And just allowing them to expand. They watch from afar. They enjoy watching them.
Yeah.
They giggle. They find joy. I don't feel that they will be around during the winter. He says that they will return for summer solstice. They go underground during these times. It's like rejuvenating their own energy.
I've heard they work in the ground to uncover things and move rocks up, etc.
They do. They work with the mycelium, the plant life. They help the plant life. They are like light workers to Mother Earth.
And may I ask for my oldest son where he originates from?
They're talking. He is celestial. He is more of a celestial soul. He will share the light. He came to help raise the vibration at a further level of what the second volunteers have already done.
And does he have any karma with his family?
No.
Is there anything else that you would like to share with Tina before we bring her out of the session?
A warning, but a good one, that her sight will increase. We feel she's ready. We will give her more sight in layers.
Mm. And how will she experience this increase in sight?
Seeing spirit images more vivid with her physical eyes rather than her internal eye.
Mm-hmm.
It will be a bit of a shock of what we show her, but we are going to help her.
Okay.
It is nothing to fear. It is all celestial.
Mm.
An angel will appear before her.
Mm-hmm.
She will feel us come in,
Mm-hmm.
guided by me,
Who is me?
Raphael,
Okay.
and I will show myself to her.
Mm-hmm.
She will feel the bliss in her chest, and we will stand in front of her. She sees us with her internal eye, but we feel it's time. We show ourselves with her physical.
Mm. Would this be considered contact?
Yes.
I'm sure she'll be very, very happy for that. Do you have any parting messages for myself personally before we end Tina's session?
Your guides want you to know that your time is coming and you are rising, to keep trusting the flow as you have been. Keep putting your intentions out there as we've been watching. They say you are doing well. To keep purging. You have already gone through the dark night of the soul. You only have little bits to work on. And you're doing it. Keep visualizing the Lyran warrior by the water and meet your oversoul there.
Mm. Can you describe what she looks like to me?
She has golden hair that's worn in braids, like a Viking warrior would wear. Similar to what you call the show Vikings.
Mm-hmm.
The shield maidens, that's what we compare you to, is a shield maiden.
Mm-hmm.
You fought in the spiritual wars. You stand about 6'5". And you have a very compassionate, evolved soul.
And when you say my time is coming or I'm rising into something, what is it that I'm rising into? Because I feel there's many directions I can go.
More people will know about you. Your healing services. That's your purpose. You're already following your purpose.
Okay. Thank you. And lastly, are there any messages for the collective before we end the session?
You have a ways to go, but you are getting there. Listen to your heart, not your pain. Your pain is only there to show you how to transform. The goal is to be lighter, not angrier. Blessings.
Thank you so much, with so much gratitude and unconditional love to all entities, beings, and our Oversoul for speaking with us today. Thank you.
Blessings.